Yo, it's your boy WesTheTech here to bring you another one of my personal favorite tech tips to help you as an artist grow in your craft. Now, today we're going to go over music publishing, BMI versus ASCAP, all right? So if you're a recording artist who wants to know the differences between BMI and ASCAP when you're talking about publishing specifically, then this is the video for you, because in this video, I'm going to go over the key differences between these two performing rights organizations when we're talking about publishing, all right? Now, before I continue, I definitely want to talk about my free music business checklist tool that's available to download off of my website right now. This is for any one of you guys who's looking into starting your own music business but don't quite know where to start. With this free tool, you actually be able to identify 3 things that you could do right away to start your own music business. So if you want to grab this free tool today, you can click on the link above. I'll also leave the link in the descriptions below, all right? Now, when it comes to performing rights organizations, if you don't know what a performing rights organization is, it's basically an organization that's in place to collect your songwriting and publishing royalties, all right? Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go into too much detail and explain entirely what performing rights organizations are. But if you don't know what they are, I would strongly recommend that you click on this video above, because in that video, I actually break down what performing rights organizations are. And in that video, I discuss the main performing rights organizations in the US, which is ASCAP and BMI. All right. Now, there is a third one out there, which is CSAC, but CSAC is only by invitation only. So as an independent artist, you're really only looking at BMI and ASCAP. All right. But these two performing rights organizations don't just offer to collect our royalties as songwriters. We can also create a publishing company with these two performing rights organizations as well. We can also create a publishing, whether it's individual, whether it's through a company, a LLC, or just create a publishing just in general for your music with these two performing rights organizations. So in this video, I wanted to just go over the differences between these two PROs when it comes to publishing specifically, all right? Now, just like the other thing, I don't want to dive too much into what publishing is, because again, I want to keep my videos short, all right? So if you don't know anything about what music publishing is, then click on the link above, because in that video, I actually talk about what publishing is and why it is important, all right? This is a more advanced video, just highlighting the differences between BMI and ASCAP when it comes to what they offer with publishing, all right? So before I talk about the differences, let's talk about what they have in common. When you're looking at BMI and ASCAP, the benefits are pretty much the same, all right? So if you're looking for a difference in benefits, this is not the thing that you're going to find, because they both offer the same types of resources, discounts, and tools to their artists who are actually publishing music through them, all right? So it's not going to be about the benefits, but there are certain things that there is a difference in. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about that they have a difference in is the cost, all right? And this is the cost to sign up for the publishing, or the cost to pay for the application fee to sign up for it, all right? So when you're looking at BMI has 3 different costs, all right? For individual proprietor, right? Or let's just say you just by yourself, right? It's going to be $175 to actually pay for the application fee to get, so that they could set up your BMI publishing, all right? Now, if you want to do a publishing corporation or an LLC, right, then it's going to cost you $250 as an application fee, right? But if you want to do a partnership with BMI through publishing, then it would actually be $500, all right? Now, these different tiers are different types of publishing that BMI offers. Now, BMI offers these different types, ASCAP doesn't. As you can see on the other side, ASCAP, you only have to pay $50 to be a publisher member. All right. Now, me personally, I don't know if being a member would count towards all three of these, but but I know for the most part that it at least incorporates whether it's an LLC or an individual. About the partnership thing, I don't know if that is still included in that $50. I think that's just something that only BMI has, all right? So for ASCAP, you're looking at $50 if you want to actually get the publishing through ASCAP. That's what you have to pay for. But what I love about ASCAP now is that if you are actually signing up as a writer and a publisher, right, they actually waive that fee and it is free, all right? What this means is that if you haven't signed up with a performing rights organization at all, then you could do writing and publishing free through ASCAP, right? But I want to preface that by saying, again, that you cannot be signed up with any other performing rights organization first. So, for example, let's say you already signed up with BMI as a songwriter, right? Then with ASCAP, you cannot sign up as a songwriter because you're already with BMI. So you would only do publishing, right? So you could you could stay with BMI as a writer, but then ASCAP, you would be the publisher, which you would still have to pay $50 for. Now, if you haven't signed up with any performing rights organization yet, I would always recommend ASCAP because it's absolutely free, right? But again, if you've already signed up with BMI or another performing rights organization for songwriting and you're just looking to do publishing, then with ASCAP it would be $50. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm very clear on that because obviously these different costs vary. All right. Now, what I always tell artists as well is if you're gonna go with songwriting with one company, just stay with that company as your publisher. It just makes everything easier. It makes things more efficient, and you don't have to worry about logging in here and doing this and all of this extra stuff. So if you already signed up with BMI, just do BMI publishing, even if you have to pay a little bit extra for the application fee. If you're already with ASCAP, then stay with ASCAP and do the publishing through them. Don't do your songwriting in one and then your publishing in the other. It just gets messy like that. Stay in one place. Have one home when it comes to your performing rights, all right? So that is the first difference, is the cost. And that's really the biggest difference because like I already mentioned before, the benefits are the same. If the benefits are the same and the cost is different, those are the two most important things, the cost and the benefits. What am I paying for and what are you giving me? That's the differences. But there are two minor differences between these two that I want to address as well, all right? And that next thing is the contract terms, the contract length, right? With the contract length, it is different between these two. When you're looking at BMI, you're looking at a 2-year contract, right? A 2-year term. Versus ASCAP, you're looking at a 1-year term when it comes to the contract. Now, I know as independent artists, we get scared when we hear the word contract, right? Record labels have contracts. Record deals are contracts, right? So contracts are always a scary word to use when you're dealing with independent artists because we don't want to be tied down to anything. But all of these contracts are saying is literally you are allowing us to collect your performing rights royalties for you or your publishing royalties for you for this set amount of time or that set amount of time. That's all that it is. It's nothing extra than that. Now, I will say this, that every PRO does take out a small percentage of the royalties that they collect for you, but it is a very, very small percent, very, very small percent that you wouldn't even notice otherwise. All right. But yes, they do take out a small percent. And if you want to know what that is, you could check it out on their site. As far as ASCAP and BMI, they're literally almost exactly the same. That's why I didn't feel like even mentioning, the differences in the percentages in that, because it's like literally a 1% difference between the two. I think one is 5 and the other is 6. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember the exact number, but I know they're like a 1% difference apart. All right. So it's no crazy difference to even mention. But when you're talking about the contract here, this is something big enough to mention because for people who don't want to be tied down for that long with one publisher or one performing rights, I would definitely recommend going with ASCAP rather than BMI. You're locked in for 2 years, right? So let's say you got BMI right now, right? And you want to sign up with ASCAP for the writer and the publisher. So you want to leave BMI and go with ASCAP. Well, you got to wait for the 2 years is over. And then once the 2 years is over, you could just sign up with ASCAP as the writer and the publisher and have everything going to ASCAP moving forward. All right. But I'm not one to recommend switching from publisher to publisher or from PROs to PROs, because whatever place that you release your catalog with or you register your music with, that's where it stays. So let's say for the first 2 years you're with BMI, you drop 8 songs, right? You can't transfer those songs to ASCAP. Those songs are going to forever stay in BMI, and BMI is going to forever collect the royalties for those songs, right? Now, if you decide to switch over to ASCAP and your newer songs are with ASCAP, now they're going to be collecting the new songs. So it's like now you got 2 places collecting for you. Like I said, it gets messy and all of that. So the right thing to do is just pick the one that you really want to be at from the very beginning. But I do know that there are people out there who make mistakes or who just signed up with one before having all the information. That's why I like making these videos, so you at least understand the differences and so on and so forth, so that you can make the right decisions moving forward. All right. But the contract year or the contract terms, contract length is definitely something that's worth mentioning. All right. Now, the third thing that I feel like is worth mentioning as far as the difference between the two is the payout speed. All right. This is obviously something that's important because we want to know how fast are we going to get the money after they collect it for us. All right. Well, for these two, it's not that much of a difference when you just look at the number, but it is a pretty big difference when you're actually considering everything. All right. So when you're looking at BMI, you're looking at a payout speed of 5.5. That means 5.5 months after they collect it for you. All right. Versus ASCAP is 6.5 months. All right. So ASCAP is a month. You have to wait a month longer to get it through ASCAP than BMI. All right. So that is something that you have to keep in mind. Now, again, these two differences aren't that bad, but it just depends on how you look at it. So, for example, let's say you started in January, right? Well, you're not going to get that January payment until June. Or halfway through June. You get what I'm saying? So essentially, you might only get one payout that whole year, right? Because it's 6.5 months with ASCAP, which is literally a half a year, right? Versus BMI, depending on the timing of it, you might be able to get 2 payouts within a given year versus the one. You get what I'm saying? So it all depends on, of course, when they collected and all of those different things. But this is worth mentioning because the payout speed isn't the same. And I feel like it is important for you guys to understand that. Is it enough to sway you on which one to go with? It could be, right? But it's not that big of a deal, but it's at least worth mentioning. All right. But that's pretty much it, guys. Those are really the 3 differences when it comes to ASCAP and BMI when you're focusing on the publishing, right? Obviously, the biggest is the cost, which is why I mentioned that first. As far as the contract length and the payout speed, those aren't big differences, but they're still there. All right. So that's pretty much it. So ultimately, I always get asked the question, which one should I go with? Honestly, they're pretty much the same. They're pretty much the same overall. There's a slight differences. Where you're going to always see the biggest difference is the application fee signing up for it. Obviously, if you haven't dealt with any performing rights organization at all yet, I would recommend ASCAP because it would be free to get the publishing and the writing all at once, right? But if you already have one, then that answer may vary depending on what you have, all right? But that's pretty much it, guys. That's what this video was about, just highlighting and talking about the key differences between ASCAP and BMI when it comes to, what they offer for publishing specifically. And I hope that this video helped you guys, all right? Now, before I let you go, I definitely want to let you guys know about my book here, The 13 Steps to Jumpstart Your Music Business. This is for any one of you guys who's just simply tired of your 9-to-5 job and you want to do music full-time for the rest of your life, right? I've been doing that for years now, and I want the same thing for every independent artist who follows my channel, right? But a big step, a big boost to doing that is this book right here. Because in this book, I talk about the 13 steps that I took to put myself in a position to leave my 9-to-5 job, all right? So if you just want to make music and you don't know where to start, grab this, because I talk about all of those things there, and this will really help you jumpstart your music business. So definitely check that out. The link of that will be in the bio as well, so you guys can check that out, all right? But that's pretty much it, guys. That's what this video was about, just highlighting the differences between these two PROs when it comes to the publishing. I hope it helped, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
I'm feeling like David. Can't nobody slay me. I feel like Moses. Big Moses. Can't nobody hold me. I'm feeling like Daniel. Big Daddy. Can't nobody face me.